Natalie Thorneberry, the head volleyball coach at Southside High School, joins us today. Natalie, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing good. Love the setup there in the locker room. Things getting back to normal, able to practice, and now
Yes.
we can actually start looking toward games. Hopefully, is that the case?
We are holding on to that hope for sure. Right now, we're taking it one small chunk of hours at a time. We kind of have a morning check-in, a noon check-in, and an evening check-in because things just come at you fast in 2020. So we're looking forward to things feeling a little bit more like fall.
Ex- Excellent. What are some of the precautions that you're taking with your team to ensure that they're in a safe environment when they come into practice?
Our biggest things right now, we're keeping our kids spaced. We're running two separate practices so that we can space out our groups because we don't have a big gym right now. We're sharing with a junior high. And that just kind of allows us, number one, to focus on those individual skills that still need some brushing up and some rust coming off. But we're also making sure that we stay masked. We are disinfecting all the time before, during, after drills. I'm not sure we've ever been this clean, which is wonderful. we're we're really going through that sanitizer, but we're just doing everything we can to keep girls going and to keep our practices safe.
How's the spirit of the girls? I would imagine they're pretty upbeat, getting close now. We're talking about games. They're able to do more in practice. And how important is that for them to get back to what they want to do?
These girls, I'm telling you, just when you think maybe this is going to slow them down, this is going to trip them up, I have been amazed at the resiliency of these girls. We are in kind of a unique situation. It's a global pandemic, but it's a global pandemic and we don't have a gym. We don't have a home base to go to, a locker room they can throw their stuff in. We are sharing space and we've had to last minute push back a practice or change time, flip groups to try to accommodate all the people trying to get into these gyms. And they have rolled with every punch. Every time we come in, it kind of sometimes feels weird to tell them, to focus on a certain set or, hey, come in, make this game like when you know what all's going on in the world and they're trying to balance those two things. So I think it's really neat to see that these girls have come in focused. They want to play. They're hungry to see somebody else on the other side of the net. So they've really done well.
We've seen a lot, at least on the college scene, all the athletes coming out. We want to play. We're starting to see that. High school athletes tweet that out as well. Do you even at this point have to remind them of what they need to do away from the court? Or is that a given, or do you remind them of that daily just so you have peace of mind?
It's funny because I feel like as coaches, we're always looking at what they're doing before, during, after, whether it's what does your diet look like? Are you laying off of sodas? Are you drinking plenty of water? Stretching when you go home? Icing injuries? But now we've just tacked on some more questions like, are you masking up when you're gone? Are you making sure that you're not going out into social settings where it could, put you at a 2 week stop point or hurt our chances of being able to play or practice? And the girls have been really responsive. I'm sure they're sick of me talking about it, but it's just one of those new things we tack on to our end of practice discussions.
All the discussion with athletics, should it go on or not? Would it be safe to say though that one of the safest places they can be right now is an athletic facility because it's gone through all the protocols and the protocols are in place to make it as safe as possible?
I would say, we are super safe. I feel like there's always that chance, especially when you start seeing kids, in close contact. The first time that we saw them closer than 12 feet apart, it took us a second because we're so conditioned to staying so far away. But I think that we have done everything possible and some. I think we mask up at times where maybe not everybody else does. And it's just come out of conversations with other coaches and, hey, what does it look like in your gym? What can we do to be more cautious? When the girls come in now, they're conditioned to it. They don't congregate. They space their belongings out on the outskirts of the courts, and they'll even kind of self-monitor now, which is really fun to see. And we don't have to keep yelling 6 feet all the time. But I do feel like we have given our athletes the best shot at staying safe.
And not only are you the coach, you're kind of the mother of the team, but you also have a family at home. So you have a lot at stake too. And I think sometimes people forget that the coaches have just as much at stake. I mean, they have families they're going home to who could be susceptible. Do you have any qualms about, coaching this fall?
I think part of that feeling definitely comes into place. I have small children, and people with small children know we just seem to find every germ possible and lick it. So we've started daycare again, and it was some adjusting. I think I've lost a lot of sleep. I've lost a lot of peace of mind knowing the exposure at our house went from very low to very high when I went back to work. But I feel such a mothering for these kids that are my players. I felt like I need to be with them just as much as I need to be with my own kids. And for the mental health side of our athletes being at home for so long, this has been not only great for us, but I feel like it's been so great for the kids. So even though we are super exposed in the classroom setting as well, and the gyms, we were kind of the first wave to be with the athletes as coaches. But I feel like that's where I need to be. That's where I want to be. So that gives me peace of mind.
And you all are still having some fun. Saw this on Twitter, a day in the life, the SHS Volleyball Edition. So, and I thought that was cool, giving everybody a chance to go along to see what goes on, because we hear so much about what's happening, but we don't see it. So I thought this was a really ingenious
Yes.
idea.
Well, thank you.
Anything particular? What was the feedback like?
Excuse me. It was a lot of fun. We had some of our coaches around here give us a hard time that now they're going to top it. They're going to have a better day in the life. But we've actually seen a lot of colleges do that, and that's what I thought was really neat. Is you don't know, like people didn't know that a couple of weeks ago we were going from 8 to 3 and never leaving a gym, never taking a lunch break. We would roll out the 8 a.m. group and check in the 9:30 group with our junior highs. We've tried to be at their practices as much as possible. We're trying to make sure that we can help whenever and wherever we can, but we also want to be with those young athletes and be developing them as well. So those were some really long days. And I think it's fun for people to see, like, hey, look at all these athletes that are going through. Look at all these coaches that have been, working nonstop since March. I feel like that dead week was short, very,
Yeah.
very short for us. So it was neat. And I think our kids got into it too. They kind of liked following along and seeing what all we included. So next step, we want to see them do a day in the life.
Nice. Um, with everything on Twitter, there's so much talk going on. Do you pay attention to what the colleges are doing, what professionals are doing, or do you have enough on your plate right now? You don't worry about that, and you let the people in administration worry about that.
It's kind of a balance of both. I've been interested to see how other people handled it, especially within the volleyball world. When you look at collegiate volleyball right now, your NAIA and your JUCOs are doing it differently than your D2, than even your D1. So it's kind of good to see where are they at? What are they doing that could work if that were to be pushed down to our level? So I try to just pay attention and have a knowledge of it, but we're so very behind in our own realm, and we're getting changes every day. So part of it is just trying to keep our nose above water.
As we look at the schedule, the first game coming up, obviously on the 25th against Van Buren. How close are you to being ready to play that game and start this season?
If you told my kids to play in 5 minutes, they'd be here and dressed out and ready. I think that the more that we're able to do these scrimmage like activities, there are times where I thought, did you guys really even have time off? I mean, these girls continued to train. They never really stopped trying to be active. It was a matter of when we put the live ball in front of them, what are they going to do? So as we've gone through the last couple weeks, some of our scrimmages are insane. They're intense. I mean, we're diving for balls, we're competing, we're clawing, and it's really fun to see. I want these kids to get a chance to be on the court because they've just worked as hard as they possibly could, and they deserve that shot.
What kind of team do you expect to have this year? And I know you set goals, but it's almost like the main goals. Let's just play as many games as we can, however many that is. Does that affect team goals right now, or do you set them with with the mindset we're playing a full season?
We are trying to bite off one day at a time. And that's what we've actually done some mental training. We've done some feedback, some reflection. A lot of our talks have been geared around, hey, we've got to figure out a way to battle, and we get to have another day in the gym. Every day that we get to practice is another chance that we get to be together, because we've learned not to take that for granted. We want every hour, every minute that we possibly can. So I think our focus is very much one day at a time. And when they throw us a curveball, we're going to keep going. Hopefully the goal will be that we play volleyball at some point this year. And with as much as we have thrown at these girls and the adversity they've already faced, I don't think there's anything they can't accomplish. This is a very strong team. I mean, my goodness, this might be one of our most potent offenses that we've ever had as a collective whole. I mean, this group is just talented, but they have learned to fight and claw on the court and off the court with everything they've been given.
Well, they say athletics also teaches you a lot of life skills, and man, this year they're getting the full load, are they not?
They really are.
It's unbelievable, and so many things to be excited about for y'all too, because you're in a new conference this year, so there's that whole new element. But first things first, you just want to be able to play that game on the 25th, and hopefully down the line. And man,
That's right.
I know it's been tough, but it's about athletics teaches us about overcoming challenges too. And boy, this year it's been these girls are going to have a PhD in life skills after this. Is that fair to say?
That was one of our talks today. You guys are going to be more prepared as young adults than I've prepared in my whole life to deal with just the unexpected.
That's awesome. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it. And we'll try to check back in with you before that first match and get a preview, and continued success. And let's hope everything goes well. And we'll be playing volleyball in 2 weeks.
Sounds great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.